Good morning. Welcome to the first day of the week, the first day of the month, and the first day of the year all at once. There was no way I was going to start late on our first block breaker of the year, and yet technology had a different idea this morning, so I was about 2 minutes late. So I apologize for that. And I am ready though to get started because the way that Blockbreakers works is that twice a week I'm going to be coming to you. One, I'm going to be coming to you every Monday morning at the very start of the day. So we're talking 7 a.m. Central Time that I'm going to be coming to you. And I'm going to bring you a weekly Blockbreaker lesson. I'm going to explain to you what that is in just a little bit. And then every Wednesday I'm going to be coming to you with a writing sprint. And so let me tell you a little bit. First of all, if you're joining me for the first time, who I am, I go by Red, and that's because I write under many names. I write under the names Jerry Shepard, Reggie LaBerge, and you will see very soon Maggie McMahon. I have some stuff out there by her already, but it's kind of a newer pen name that I'm working with. I have been in the writing and publishing industry for almost 30 years, and I have just over 100 books, coaching, teaching, working with other writers, helping other writers get their stuff in print. That's one of the things that I'm extremely passionate about. And even as I continue to put out my own books, I hope that I'm always able to bring some value to people who are writing and wanting to make writing their full-time writer career. So this morning we are going to hit our very first block breaker. So block breaker is all about breaking through those writer's blocks. And yes, there's a lot that you can do to prepare your writing ahead of time to make sure that you're not hitting that wall. However, there are still times, even when I know exactly where the story's going, that I sit down and I just can't get my brain firing. And so I came up with an approach to writing, almost 20 years ago, that I've been using in my career ever since. And it's what I call full sensory and nonlinear. And when we're doing the block breaker, we're really going to be hitting that full sensory piece. So what I mean by full sensory is that yes, we're going to be using all 5 of our senses when we write, but we're also going to go beyond that, because the thing is, senses are very tangible things. We know what we see, we know what we touch, we know what we hear. These are all very tangible things. And because we have right and left side brains that work in different ways, when you're thinking in that sensory manner, which a lot of writers are really great at, a lot of times what's happening is we're not working with that other side of the brain. And the more of your brain that you can get firing at once, the more likely you're going to be able to roll into your writing. So a block breaker is all about lighting up both sides of those brains. We are going to do some of that tangible, but then we're also going to use our imaginations. We're also going to tap into what I call TFIs, which you're going to learn about. And later in the year, we're going to be adding another layer to this as well. So we have the sensory writing, we have the TFIs, which we're going to start talking about today. Then we have both the participation and the observation experiential writing. And so those are all going to come into place, and that's all beyond the preparation. However, with a block breaker, the reason we're teaching these on Monday morning, is because they're supposed to be these really quick exercises. They take 5 to 10 minutes, because when you do a writing prompt, if you're trying to come up with something to write, you're doing a writing prompt, and your brain is now having to think about writing this other thing, and now you're taking all of your creative energy and pouring it into what you're not really trying to write anyway. Whereas a block breaker, you're going to take 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to get your brain firing. Maybe what you create in that block breaker you'll use in your writing, but you don't actually have to. More than likely what you're going to do is you're just going to get your brain firing, and now you can set aside the block breaker, and you've broken through your writer's block. You can do whatever it is that you have to do in your writing. So that's a block breaker. I'm not always going to go into that explanation, but because this is our very first one in this free group, I wanted to make sure that you understood what we're doing here every Monday. So our lessons are going to be, I'm going to try to keep them under 15 minutes. We have this whole half-hour block because there might be times that we go really deep and we have a really fun lesson together. But I'm going to try to keep you getting really short lessons that are going to get your synapses firing so that you can dig into your real writing that you want to do as a full-time working writer. So today we're going to talk sensory countdown into a TFI. So just to give you a little background, this lesson began and then grew from. It began with my good friend and one of my editors, Amy Oakes, who did therapeutic writing. She's an amazing editor. I still work with her today, and she brought this. The sensory piece to us. When I had a publishing company, she did this countdown of the senses, and I took that and then I turned it basically into a writing exercise from there. So we're going to take our senses and we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to actually list the things that come across for those senses. So if you're a writer, you may know what I'm about to tell you just intuitively without realizing you actually have this knowledge. But there is a certain order in which writers tend to lean into the senses. And the better of a writer you are, the more you practice your craft, the more that you develop, the more that you're able to mix up that order, and in some cases even take some of those senses out, which is something we'll be working on more over the years. But sight is almost always number one. Sound, and I bet I'm going to throw some of you off with this next one, but it's actually taste is the third one that writers tend to lean into, followed by touch, and last is smell. Doesn't mean that everybody leans in the same way, but generally speaking, if you study writers, if you study authors, this is the order in which you're going to get most of your details. You're going to get more sight details than anything. You're hearing my dogs wake up down there as well. And you're going to get fewer smell details than anything. And what's interesting about that is smell is the sense that is most tied to memory, that is most tied to relatability. And so when we add in more smell, we actually are going to connect more with our reader. Again, I'm going to get into that a little bit later. For today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with our standard writer approach, how most writers drop their details in this way. So the way that a sensory countdown works is you literally are going to, wherever you are, you might be sitting in your kitchen, you might be having that morning coffee, Lord knows you may see me drink a couple of sips of this today. You might be getting ready for work, you might be still sitting in your bed and you've got a journal next to your bed. Wherever you are, I want you to think about 5 sight things, 4 sound things, 3 taste things, 2 touch things, and 1 smell thing. So I'm going to literally do this from the room that I'm standing in right now, which is my video room. So what are some of the things I can see? I can see my lights. I can see my camera, which is really my phone in this case. I can see the imprint on the carpet where my dog crate used to be. I can see my crates of books. I need to get those organized for my upcoming shows this month. I will be at Midwinter Gaming Convention in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. And I need a 5th thing. I can see my crate of yarn. I actually like to make blankets, believe it or not. I'm not great at it, but it's something that I enjoy doing. So you can tell I'm kind of in a room that has a little bit of everything. Sounds, we just heard my dogs barking, of course. I can hear the heat in the vents. I can hear the hum of the lights, and I hear my marker on the board. Obviously, when I'm doing this, I'm walking through this pretty quickly. I want you to think a little bit more about each of these. Like, what does the hum of that sound, the hum of the lights, it's kind of like a low buzzing. You know, what is the sound of the marker on the board? It's sort of like a little bit of a screeching. How do the lights look? They're a little bit cool. You know, they're cool and they're bright. There's a reason that you're going to want to think about some of those things when we get to the next thing that we do in our sensory countdown. So taste, I just had my nice black bitter coffee. But as if I'm being totally honest with you, it can still taste my morning toothpaste as well. And then if I think about the air in here, there's like a little bit of like that winter staleness that we get in our air. So I'm just gonna say stale air. Although not as bad this year, because I'll tell you, we even had 50 degrees in the winter for our Christmas, which is very strange for those of us here in Wisconsin. So touch. So this one I just want to take a second to talk about, because a lot of times when writers talk about touch, they're literally talking about the physical picking something up. Okay, I can touch this and it's the warmth of the mug. I can tell that the mug is hard. I can tell that it's smooth. And I'm thinking all of these touch things, but I'm thinking them all with my fingers. And the truth is, we have the ability to feel with our whole selves. And I want writers to continue to try to think more about that. What is it like to feel with your whole selves? Like, you can feel the temperature of a room. You can feel the stiffness or softness, the pliability of the surface that you're standing on. Think about standing on like a rubber foam gym floor versus standing on a carpet versus standing on a wood floor. You can feel so many different things. You can even close your eyes and like you can feel the closeness or the openness around yourself. So think about touch beyond just what you feel with your hands. I'm going to say it's a little bit warm in here right now, probably because the heater just finished blowing. And I did also feel, you know, my coffee mug. And again, if I'm thinking about that way that you kind of want to break things down so that you're looking at them beyond just the words, this might be something that might be like the comfort of a coffee mug in my hands. Yes, you can tell I like my morning coffee, because you know what? That's what I'm going to say I'm smelling too. So fresh brewed coffee, because that is a very strong scent that most people can relate to. So what happens is I've gone 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is our sensory countdown. 5 things I see, 4 things I hear, 3 things I taste, 2 things for touch, 1 thing for smell. So that is the sensory countdown portion of this. Now, wherever you are, you can do that. You can do it in any order. Again, we did it in the standard, most common writer weighing order here. We're going to play with this at different times throughout the year. We're going to come back to this one about 3 or 4 times throughout the whole year of 2024. And we're going to mix things up, and we're going to, you know, kind of deprive you of certain things too. But this helps you wake up that very tangible side of your brain. So now you're thinking logically. From that tangible side, we're then going to go and we are going to add my new thing, which is the TFI. And it's not really new. It might be new to you. For me, this is something I have been using for decades. A TFI literally stands for thoughts, feelings, and imaginings. And this is the 6th of the 7 non-writing preparatory things that I do to break down your writer's block. So that's why we call this our Blockbreaker. So our thoughts, our feelings, and imaginings. So I might think for thoughts, I might be like, gosh, it is so warm in here. I really wish, I'd like to take my sweatshirt off, but honestly, I'm getting ready to go work out, and it's really cool in my basement, and I'm not going to sit here and do a striptease on camera in our very first Blockbreaker, so I'm not doing that. So that's a thought that's going through my head. I know, it's a crazy one. I might be thinking about feelings. You know what? I'm excited. It's the beginning of the year. I'm tackling some really cool new things. I have some awesome new clients I'm working with. I've got this group, the Blockbreakers group, so I'm feeling really excited. And then imaginings, I might be imagining, what some of you guys could create if you were looking at this board. I might be like, oh, what kind of things would my character be considering in this time? So thoughts, feelings, imaginings are when you're looking at these different countdown things that you did in your sensory countdown, what are the thoughts, feelings, and imaginings that come to mind? That's that sixth sense of writing, and it's going to wake up the other side of your brain so that your synapses are firing. So what do you do with a sensory countdown combined with a TFI? So if you're doing this as a block breaker, I want you to think about wherever you are at the beginning of the day, or close your eyes and put yourself somewhere, or close your eyes and put yourself where your character is. And now do a sensory countdown from that place. Add the TFI. What is my character thinking, feeling, and imagining here based on my sensory countdown? And now go ahead and just create one sentence. So in this, I might say like, I woke excited that morning as I turned on the lights in the room. The dogs were barking as though they were just as willing to start the new year as I was. After a good strong sip of my black coffee that filled my nose with its warm, comforting scent, I was ready to tackle the new year, diving into my full-time writing career. That's what I picked from this. Now guess what? My brain is going. My synapses are firing. I'm ready to take this, put it aside, and actually dig into my writing. Not into a prompt from somebody else where they're like, write about your favorite memory as a child, or write about a beautiful day following the holiday. I'm not going to be writing somebody else's stuff. I'm just waking up my brain so that I can write my own stuff. That is the point of a block breaker. So this has been our very first block breaker lesson. Block breaker lesson 001. We did our sensory writing to a TFI. This was a sensory countdown. We're going to come back to this one a couple more times in the year, but the idea is that we have broken through your writer's block and you're ready to dive in on your own writing. Thanks for joining us for our very first one. I will see you Wednesday for our writing sprint.